Welcome to Marina State Park near Marina, California. My name is Lori and I'm on my way back from spending the winter in my camper van in Arizona, back up home to Vancouver, British Columbia. And as you can see, I decided to take the coastal route. One of my most popular videos is coping with guilt and grief when you have to rehome your dog. And I made that video and I wrote a very popular blog post about the same thing because I had to rehome a dog after I had adopted her from the SPCA. A reader recently commented and she said that she's okay with having to give up her dog because she feels like she made her decision for the right reasons, but her friends are making her feel horrible about it. She's feeling shamed and guilted because they love dogs and they can't understand why she could walk away from it. In this video, I want to share the 5 stages of guilt that I have gone through, not just rehoming a dog, but also leaving a relationship and leaving my 2 dogs with my partner while I am here in the States. And I do feel very guilty about that, especially because I've had family members shame me by calling me selfish, and I've had friends not want to talk to me anymore because they think I'm doing the wrong thing. So the first thing that I had to do was figure out my reasons for giving up my dog and leaving my relationship. And I had to figure out, why did I do that? And I know for the first experience in my life, it was rehoming my dog because I was afraid of her. I was crying all the time. She was a huge German Shepherd, almost 70 pounds. I'm like 95 pounds. I couldn't control her. So it was just it was a mismatch. It was the wrong fit. And then giving her up, I decided that I just couldn't handle it. And now in hindsight, I know that I was reacting out of fear. There was something that she triggered in me. And maybe it was just feeling overwhelmed because of her size, and I didn't know how to I was out of control. I felt out of control. And that was actually the wrong reason to give her up. And now I know that. And with leaving an unhealthy relationship, an unhappy relationship, which I did, and leaving my 2 dogs with my husband and coming here, that I now know was a healthy reason to leave. It was leaving out of love, believe it or not. It may sound weird, but we were not happy together. We had been unhappy for several years, and we could have lived unhappily for the next 30, 40 years. Leaving was the most loving thing I could have done, because leaving meant that we both have a chance to find ways to be happy instead of continuing to stay and spin our wheels in the same rut. So for this first stage, I encourage you to think about your reasons for rehoming your dog, or whatever you feel guilty for. If you know why you made the decision, you come to a sense of peace if you can work through the guilt. Like, I know I made the wrong decision for my first dog, and I made peace with that. Now I know for the future how to make better decisions. The second stage or step is to make peace and accept your reasons for making the decision that you did. So even if you know now that you were reacting out of fear or anxiety, or you made the decision and it was totally the wrong reason, that's fine. Accept it. Make peace with that. At that time in your life, you were doing the best you could. You could only make that decision because all you had were the resources that you had, and those resources weren't enough to help you cope. Don't judge yourself now for stuff that you've done in the past, because you know better now. Now you're wiser, you're stronger, you're older, you're more mature. Of course you have more resources, and of course you can deal with stuff that you couldn't deal with back when you were younger. Now I would make different choices because I know better now. The third step or stage is to stop defending yourself if that's what you're doing. And I find myself defending myself a lot. And it's actually not even to the people, my friends and family. It's to myself. So I will throw up arguments in my own face, and guilt and shame, and you shouldn't have done this, and you should have stayed, and you should have tried harder, you should have. Instead of defending yourself when people are guilting or shaming you for choices you've made, accept that that's their story. That's the story that they believe. That's their thoughts and beliefs about you. Let them have them. When my husband called me selfish for wanting to leave our marriage, that was hard to hear, and I accept it. I think he's right. It may very well be true. And agreeing with somebody's story or assessment or judgment of you doesn't mean that it's true about you. So I actually don't believe in my own mind that I'm being selfish for leaving. But I accept that other people believe that it is the selfish or wrong thing to do, especially because we got married in a Catholic church and we were Christians and we went to church. I can totally get why people would call me selfish and anti-Christian or bad Christian or whatever they call. That's cool. I get it. I'm not going to argue with it. When you argue with someone's thoughts and beliefs about you, then not only do you reinforce in your mind that you are that thing because you're defending yourself against it, so you're reinforcing it in your head that you are selfish or X, Y, or Z. You're also prolonging the argument with the other person. So you're feeding it with them, not just with yourself. Why would you want to feed something that you don't even think is true? Even if you do know it's true from their perspective, don't feed it. It's just a beast. It's a dragon. It's a hungry wolf that will never be satisfied. And it's not your job to convince them that you did the right thing, or that you're not being selfish, or that it's better for everyone in the long run. All those things, it's not your job. Let it go. If you can get to the place where you allow people to think what they think and say what they say about you, and you can still love and accept them for who they are, oh my gosh, it is a beautiful place to be. It's not an easy place to get to. It's like getting out. There's surfers out there. It's like getting out to the ocean and swimming against all those waves. But once you get out there, you get to that calm spot and you can see the good waves coming that you're gonna ride. Oh, it's just a beautiful place to be. Fifth stage, how do you do that? How do you get past the really hard parts, the guilt and the shame and all that bad stuff that you feel? Here's what works for me. The thought that I struggle with every few days is I shouldn't have done it. I shouldn't have left my husband with 2 dogs, and I should go back and take care of them. But how I deal with that, and it lightens almost immediately. It does come back every few days. I don't know why. It's because our brains are conditioned. I question my thoughts. Like, I really look at it. So if you look at my personal thoughts and then do this with yours, it works. I shouldn't have left my husband at home with 2 dogs. And again, how do I feel when I think that? Do this with your statement. How do you feel when you think that thought? When your friends and family guilt you or shame you or call you names? For me, when I think I shouldn't have left my husband at home with the 2 dogs, I feel horrible. I made the decision to leave. It was the right decision. I'm grieving and I feel guilty, and that's a normal part of leaving a relationship or rehoming a dog or giving anything up. It's grief. Grief hurts. When I really know that in my mind and my heart and my soul, I do feel like I've climbed through those really bad waves out to where the good surfing waves are, because that is the truth. I should not go back. I made the decision to leave. It was the right decision. And what I finally realized about that thought is not only does it make me feel horrible, but it puts me in total control of my husband's life. So me saying I shouldn't have left him home alone with the 2 dogs makes it seem like he is an invalid who has no choice or decision-making power, who has no ability cognitively to think through his own life, make his own choices, and do what's best for him. When I say I shouldn't have done it, I'm buying into the guilt and the shame that I feel coming from external sources. When you feel guilty and shamed because your friends and family are saying, you should have kept your dog, you should have done this, you should have done that, why didn't you do this, why didn't you do that? Those external voices of guilt and shame and condemnation are not true for you. Even recognizing it and admitting it, it is hard. I totally get it. It takes work. It takes a lot of courage and strength to hold your ground and to stick to your guns and to say, you know what, this is the right decision for me. So let me just go through the 5 stages real quick so you can figure out where you are. Because if you know where you are, then you're going to be able to move forward through them much more quickly. The first stage is your self-awareness, knowing your why. Why did you make the choice that you did? And then the second stage is coming to peace with that. That involves grieving, probably, guilt, and a lot of self-examination, which is really hard to do, but it makes life worth living. The third stage is not fighting with what people think. So that's dealing with yourself as a people pleaser or seeking people's approval and love. You gotta be able to say, okay, that's what you think about me, I accept it. And if I were you, I'd think the exact same thing. That actually could have been the 4th stage. I don't know. They sort of all run together. And the 5th stage is questioning your thoughts. When they come up, just looking at them and questioning them. And what really helped me was Byron Katie's The Work. She's got a whole bunch of videos. In fact, I've shared a few on my YouTube channel here. So if you're swimming against the tide, so am I some days. We all do some days. And it's hard. But you're not alone. You're not a solo surfer, my friend. Take good care of yourself because you are worth taking good care of, even if you're not sitting at the beach. Mwah. Okay, want to see where I'm at? Marina State Park, California. See? That's where I'm at. Boy, it's beautiful. There's even a place to put your garbage. Oh, want to see my bed? Probably not. You want to see the view. I don't blame you. Oh boy. Oh, that's the Arabian Horse Show that I volunteered at. I didn't win that ribbon. Look at that. Isn't that crazy? Wow. Wow. Somebody forgot their shoes down there. They rode off without them. Oh, hi, Bobby. And those are my pajamas. You know what's really funny is that I filmed 10 minutes of this video and it just didn't feel right. I just couldn't get the flow. I couldn't get it going. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to scratch it and start all over, which I very rarely do. And then when I was deleting it, I thought, well, maybe I should just look at it and make sure that you could see the ocean behind me, because I'm not sure. It's a pretty tiny little ocean. And can you see it? I don't know. I had accidentally put it on slow-mo, so I was talking like, it was awful. I was like, oh my gosh. Sometimes things happen that are just so amazing, and I just love that.